Brand new knowledge for one generation is common sense to like two generations or a generation later, especially a generation later, considering the rate at which we're creating knowledge now. Like the fact that we ourselves are compounding in numbers means the people who are trying to find knowledge are also compounding in numbers, which means knowledge itself is compounding. Right. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how true learning, only begins after you master something. What I mean by this is that, for example, say when you get a black belt, up to that point, you have only learned the things that you have been taught. So essentially, it's more been a teaching process than it was a learning process. Because, I didn't say that. I'm not stating this the way I would like to state it. I guess I'm not as articulate as I would like to be yet. We'll get there. One video at a time. But what I'm saying is, like, it was this story I heard from Hamza about how there was this martial arts student who was about to get his black belt in, I don't know, kickboxing or whatever. And then his sensei comes to him, and before he gives him the black belt, he's like, what does this black belt mean to you? And then the student is like, oh, it means I'm the best, I'm done, I can go on now and lose what I've learned and blah, blah, blah. And then the sensei looks disappointed, and he leaves with the black belt. The student doesn't get his black belt, so he keeps training for months and months and months, conquering many more foes. And then the sensei comes back, he's like, what does this black belt mean? The student is like, yeah, it means I'm the strongest because I've been beating so many guys recently. And then sensei leaves disappointed again. Then the sensei comes back after a few years when this dude has conquered thousands of people, of fellow students, probably. And he's like, what does this black belt symbolize? And only now does the student have the humility to be like, this black belt symbolizes the beginning of my training. What it meant was that he had learned as much as he could from his teacher. And now it was time for the real education to begin, which was him discovering things for himself. And that's what I mean by learning only begins after mastery. Only once you have learned everything that is currently known are you now in a position to actually learn. Feel me? Because it's kind of like when you're being taught, all you're doing is memorizing and catching up. But when you're making your own discoveries and you're adding new things to the field, that's you educating yourself. That's what I think is the true learning. It's you adding new knowledge. It's the creation of new knowledge, new novel knowledge. Well, maybe not like entirely brand new, but it could be about the same subject, and we just realized that our current knowledge was wrong. Now we have a brand new perspective, which is right for the moment, of course. I feel like everything, of course, is only right for the moment, and that's the beauty about knowledge, how fleeting it is. You don't really ever know anything. We just all kind of currently agree on what's real right now. This also links back to the thing I said about how knowledge is always passed down, and people always learn things sooner than people who came before them, and to them that knowledge isn't so novel and exciting. It's more like common sense to them. Brand new knowledge for one generation is common sense to like two generations or a generation later, especially a generation later, considering the rate at which we're creating knowledge now. Like the fact that we ourselves are compounding in numbers means the people who are trying to find knowledge are also compounding in numbers, which means knowledge itself is compounding. I swear, people think that the world changes every 10 years. It's like every year the world changes more quickly. Every year it's like the world changes 5 years sooner than we thought it would, because we're just everything is growing at such an exponential rate. This is why I love the compound effect. That's why I talk about the compound effect so much on this channel. It's truly mind-blowing to me how it applies to every single thing. I'm not stupid enough to think I don't need these notes. Of course, I haven't memorized everything here. Yeah. But yeah, once you move to the field, that's when you raise the bar for what it takes to become a master. Because also think about this. People only get their doctorate after they get their masters. Because to get a master's, you have to know everything that everyone in the world knows. But to get a doctorate, you have to find something entirely brand new. I feel like that is the best encapsulation of this concept, that learning only begins after mastery. So when you get your doctorate, then your knowledge becomes part of the stuff people in your field now have to study in order to get their masters. So you've raised the bar for what it takes to be a master. And honestly, you should hope to be that kind of a tough act to follow, man. Yeah, word. You should make it harder. I might sound like a dick to weak-minded people, but you should make it harder for people who come after you to achieve things of your magnitude. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the human competitive advantage. We were born to compete. And that's what keeps making us better. Because if we didn't compete, if we didn't try to beat what we already thought was the best, we never would have gotten this far in anything. I'm humble enough to admit that. I don't know shit. Word. I don't know shit. And there's a whole lot more to learn. So, yeah, thanks if you watched this video this far with all my convoluted speaking and me trying to make my point in not so articulate ways. Thank you. Yeah. Don't watch another video. Go out there and do something you should be doing. Go do something productive. Read a book. If you don't know what to do, read. Word. If you don't know what to do at all to start on this self-improvement thing, I would say read. I would say meditate, but that requires some getting used to. You could do that or read, in my opinion. If you have absolutely trash mental health though, and you know this, like, even if you haven't really fully admitted it, but you know you need some kind of help, then I'd recommend you meditate instead. If you don't know what else to do, just meditate. And if you don't know how to meditate, just keep your eyes closed. For now, as a beginner, just try and keep your eyes closed for 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, without opening them even once. Even to check your surroundings. Just assume you're still alone and you're still safe and no one is trying to rob you, and no one is trying to do anything to you for those 2 to 5 whole minutes, and focus on keeping your eyes closed. I promise you'll get better. I'm the compound effect dude, okay? I'm telling you it'll get better. Exponentially better. Even the reading thing. But yeah, if you watch my videos and you trust my judgment, you know, like I said, I'm an eternal student. I may be wrong on some things. I'm willing to learn from you guys as well. But yeah, if you trust my judgment, like, these are 2 things I believe in more than anything. Just read and meditate. But if you can't do one, do the other. Unless you have really shit mental health, then just meditate. This video became about something else entirely, but you know what? That's fine.